Well, we continue to follow developing news out of Amherst this morning. Pro-Palestinian protests entering now their second day as students are speaking out against the school's ties to the ongoing war in Gaza.
And that's where we find Western Mass News reporter Maria Wilson joining us live from the encampment. Maria, what's going on over there now?
Well, David, Amanda, a lot has unfolded since the last time we were on air. UMass officials came to the encampment site telling the demonstrators and the protesters here that while they have a right to freely express their views and to even demonstrate on this piece of land, it's these tents that you see behind me that are the problem. They said if these tents do not come down, they are prepared to get UMass police involved and students could potentially be arrested. And so now in response, I'll step aside so you can see the decisions that are happening right now. The group of probably more than 2 or 3 dozen students that have been here camped out since yesterday, right now they're deciding what they want to do. If they want to leave their tents up and continue protesting, if they want to protest without their tents, or if they simply want to go home. And you can take a look at the footage from earlier this morning when dozens of UMass students were camped out inside their tents, all of this encampment after set up by several UMass students who say that they are standing in solidarity with the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Pro-Palestinian protesters demanding that the school cut ties with companies like Raytheon, which they say are financially benefiting from the deadly conflict, with tents, signs, and plans to possibly continue their protests in the coming hours. This is what the scene has been looking like, not just here at UMass, but throughout the country as UMass joins the fast-growing list of universities setting up encampments.
And I think in this and finding people that have similar views as you is not only going to be good with just like the longevity of this, but the longevity of just everything, like keeping this movement alive and everything.
But their demands have been met with pushback from university officials.
As part of the land use request process, somebody reserved the space for today, but that's only one part of it, is tents aren't allowed on campus.
The university's chancellor also weighing in. He says while the university supports the free exchange of ideas, he also says that disruptive behavior like this demonstration is not protected speech. And as I mentioned earlier, the demonstrators here, they're making a decision whether or not they want to stay or leave. But UMass officials have said that if they decide to leave their tents up here, that they are prepared to bring in UMass police, and the students here might face arrest. So we will continue to bring you the latest updates, and including what their decision is, all coming up later on this morning. For now, reporting live in Amherst, Maria Wilson, Western Mass News.